How much would you pay for a used tube of chapstick? Now, that's a bit of a rhetorical question because the answer should be $0 of your dollars. That is how much you should be willing to pay for a used tube of chapstick. But if you're Marjorie Taylor Greene and the person who would use that chapstick happens to be House Speaker Kevin McCarthy, there is apparently no price too high to pay for that little tube. Yesterday, during a bizarre little auction that Republicans had while they were supposed to be meeting to talk about the debt ceiling, Marjorie Taylor Greene bid $100,000 for a used tube of chapstick from Kevin McCarthy. Now, this money was being raised for the National Republican Congressional Committee, the fundraising arm of Republicans in Congress. And so, since it is technically a donation, I'm sure Marjorie Taylor Greene will be able to write off at least most of that donation to the NRCC, so she's not really losing any money. But it's not the tube of chapstick, of course, that is important. That's a weird part to the story, sure. But what Marjorie Taylor Greene really did was buy access for her donors to Kevin McCarthy. Because while this bizarre little 15-minute auction was happening, Kevin McCarthy decided to sweeten the deal a little bit. So, not only did you get the used chapstick that I hope to God nobody ever uses after him, you also, as Politico reporter Olivia Beavers pointed out, as bidding went on, McCarthy would sweeten the deal, throwing in agreeing to attend a dinner with donors or supporters for whoever wins. So it's not about the chapstick, folks. It's about McCarthy basically prostituting himself out to go and meet with your wealthy donors. He's selling access to the highest office in the House of Representatives to whoever will give the most money to his campaign funding arm. Selling access in Congress. How is everybody missing that big part of the story? Yes, the chapstick part is funny. Yes, the chapstick part is how you lure people in. But let's think for a second what actually happened. This wasn't about chapstick. Marjorie Taylor Greene didn't pay $100,000 because her lips were feeling a little dry. She paid $100,000 to have Kevin McCarthy in her pocket so that she can parade him in front of donors so that those donors can then tell McCarthy what they need, what they want, what they're going to have him do. And McCarthy, like a good little lapdog, is going to sit there and smile and say, I'll do that. Yeah, sure. That's what's happening in the House of Representatives today. And don't forget the fact, as I said, they were supposed to be meeting to talk about the debt ceiling. Okay, we're running out of time on that particular issue, but instead of doing that, they're raising money for themselves and selling access to the Republican Speaker of the House of Representatives. That's what Republicans are all about. They don't care about the real problems facing America. They want to figure out how they can raise as much money as possible. And Kevin McCarthy apparently didn't mind prostituting himself out to the donors in order to get that $100,000. Ring of Fire has fresh content 7 days a week, so if you want to be reminded about it, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit the little bell to be notified every time a new video goes up.